With WWE interested in a top prospect that is no longer under contract and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Former AEW Women's Champion Thunder Rosa recently spoke to ad-free shows about her recovery as she mentioned, "This week I'm doing very well. There's been some weeks, and I'm not gonna lie, it's been really dark, especially when you think you're making steps to coming back to the ring and the pain does not leave your body. I've done pretty much everything to avoid certain things that you don't want to do, like surgery. There are talks of having surgery. I mean, it is scary. It's just stuff because of everything that has happened and how things have transpired. It really sucks because I'm not allowed to do things that I used to do before, even in my personal life. I'm not just talking about professional wrestling. I can't do jiu-jitsu. I can't go and do certain things because I can land wrong and that will hinder my rehab and stuff. Some weeks I've been very, very dark and I just feel like I'm never gonna wrestle again. And some other weeks, things are going really well. But when I get in the ring, it's not so well. You have to be realistic with certain things and see how you're going to deal with and cope with certain things because of course, I want to go and wrestle. Of course, I want to get back and reclaim myself in there as a competitor. There's a lot of new talent coming into AEW and it will be an honor for me to share the ring with them. Also in the independent scene, there's been some really great talent coming out. I just feel, yeah, I'm just doing production and I'm doing commentary, but it's like you don't feel the same rush that you feel when you're in the ring. Saying this about the recent departure of Leva Bates from AEW as her contract expired, Dave Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, there were a number of people sad with this news as she was very well liked. For details on AEW's upcoming show, it was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that May 28th, Double or Nothing show in Las Vegas. The main event is now official with MJF versus Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry for the AEW title. It is a unique main event with 3 men under the age of 30 and Allin, who just turned 30, none of whom had any television presence prior to AEW. It also has 3 risk takers who were all in what is easily the biggest match of their careers, which sounds both exciting and also scary. And MJF is coming off one of the best matches in company history in his last pay-per-view main event with Bryan Danielson. The BCC versus Elite saga continues, although the match is not announced yet, nor are whatever stipulations known. But that could be the top drawing match on the show. It's still not clear if Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho will be a singles match or a mixed tag involving Britt Baker and Saraya. There could be a Saraya and Tony Storm and Ruby Soho versus Baker and Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida match, or Baker in the mixed tag and Hayter defending her title against Storm or Soho. FTR versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal is the tag title match. Other T stuff is Wardlow versus Christian Cage for the TNT title, possibly Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie, Jay White versus Ricky Starks, Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland, and Trios title with the House of Black versus the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. That's 10 matches right there. Giving a status update on Renee Paquette's podcast, Sean Ross Sapp stated, "We're told Renee Paquette's Sessions podcast is on hiatus for the time being. It is believed the deal expired without them coming to term." Reacting to former WWE star Trinity Fatu's Impact Wrestling debut, Jim Ross said this on his Grilling JR podcast. "She's such a nice person too. More importantly to me, she's a locker room person, good wrestling citizen in her community. Her arrival adds to the ongoing depth initiative, getting more talent that can work and that have some experience and adding a piece here and a piece there to continue to build that division. So I'm hopeful she'll do well. Good luck to her and Impact. They got them a good one." Speaking about the possibility of making a full-time return to WWE, Teddy Long told Inside the Ropes, "I'm not coming back to be a GM. I'm coming back to be a part of the draft or whatever else they want me to do." Talking about what looks to be next for Charlotte Flair following the draft, it was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the women's side is lacking heels right now, but when Belair was moved to Smackdown, it was pretty much expected Flair would be her new opponent, and Flair can easily go heel. Staying on the topic of the ramifications following the WWE draft, this was said regarding many of the previous programs on the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The draft, at least in theory, broke up the key programs that built the hot period. Sami Zayn with the Bloodline and getting together with Kevin Owens, Rhodes chasing Roman Reigns, and Rey versus Dominic Mysterio. As AEW recently signed the likes of Jay White and more recently Roderick Strong, Bully Ray said this about it on Busted Open Radio. "Not enough people on that show last night are super over. There are people there that they don't know whether they should cheer or boo, i.e. AJ White. He's already in the same situation that most guys that get brought into AEW with lots of pomp and circumstance find themselves in. You can cut this any way you want. Jay White and Roderick Strong are on the same trajectory as everyone else that comes into AEW. Little bit of fanfare and then immediately cooled off." Touching on a new rule in WWE after Gigi Dolan accidentally busted JC Jane open during NXT this week, Brian Alvarez said on Wrestling Observer Live, "Apparently, there is a new rule that WWE talent aren't allowed to take pictures of their injuries, and they don't want blood whatsoever. I guess they don't want them making merch or whatever." Talking about potential opponents for Roman Reigns on Smackdown, the Wrestling Observer noted, Roman Reigns is the king of the brand, and Lashley looks like his biggest opponent left, with people like Edge, Styles, Mysterio, and Sheamus in spots where they could also work with him. With WWE Tough Enough winner Sarah Lee passing away last year at only 30 years old, TMZ reported former WWE wrestler Sarah Lee, a past winner of the Org's famous Tough Enough show, died in October, this according to a new autopsy report obtained by TMZ Sports. In the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office documents, officials say Lee ingested a lethal combination of alcohol and pills. They added that the former wrestler had left letters of intent at the scene before her death. According to officials in the documents, Lee had bruises and abrasions on her head and body at the time of her passing, though they suspected she may have suffered the injuries in a fall or falls while in an intoxicated state. Revealing the reason for a change of plans for Bad Bunny at WWE's upcoming event in Puerto Rico, it was noted that Bad Bunny vs. Damian Priest is set for Backlash, but wasn't the original plan. Fightful Select reported around WrestleMania that Bad Bunny was set to return and work towards a tag match with Rey Mysterio, taking on the Judgment Day duo of Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio. Things were moving that direction and plans were headed that way, but the match was changed to a singles match. Dominic and Rey Mysterio were pulled from the match, and both Bad Bunny and WWE were said to have felt comfortable with Bunny's ability to have a good singles match instead. For details on the reported brand split taking place in AEW with the addition of a show on Saturday, it was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the updated plan, and this will possibly change a few times, is that there will be less of a hard roster split as previously told to people who do know about it. The thought is that the split will not be hard at all with the women, as they don't believe there is enough star power to do a hard split. All of this is still up in the air and being figured out in real time, and nothing is final, but this could be how it ends up happening. In an interesting development, it looks like a former WWE champion could be nearing the end of his run in the company, as the Wrestling Observer newsletter mentioned that Drew McIntyre right now is working with the idea there's a good chance he's finishing up. He could do a big program for the title as a challenger and finally leave. Perhaps at that point, Randy Orton could return, and there's always people like Brock Lesnar and Omos that they could add in that spot as a temporary headline program. McIntyre's WWE contract runs out at the end of this year, as he has not reached an agreement for a new deal. It was added that McIntyre will be out of action for a few more weeks. Nothing has changed regarding his contract situation. When it comes to a top prospect from New Japan that WWE have on their radar, it was said that Fightful Select has learned that former Bullet Club member Tama Tonga has long been working without a New Japan Pro Wrestling deal. We reported back in January that WWE had interest in Tama Tonga to the point that there were some tentative creative ideas pitched for him. However, since then, we've learned that he'd been a victim of the unofficial hiring freeze and WWE had not maintained contact with him. However, we've heard that WWE higher-ups did continue interest in Tama. Tama has continued to work with New Japan Pro Wrestling without a contract for several months. However, he dropped the never openweight title at NJPW Wrestling Dontaku to new Bullet Club leader David Finlay. There was a stretcher job angle after that. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.